Hey everybody, I'm back. Another fine Sunday, although here in New York it is raining and it's been raining since yesterday, but it's not going to stop me from enjoying a White Claw iced tea mango, which I actually do like. You know, say what it is. That's what I like. The other day, I was out somewhere and at the library. So we stopped in the library with the squirrels, and there was a sign on one of the doors of the library. It was a little room. The sign read, and I wrote it down, this is a safe space for you to be who you are. We're really opening the door for a lot of ones there. What if you're a pedophile? What if you're a racist? What if you're an asshole? What if you're a liberal? I mean, you could go in that room and be whoever you are. I mean, listen, the old saying is, you better be careful what you ask for. You can't just let anybody in and say, yep, here we are, safe, be whoever you are. I mean, come on now, ridiculous. Seriously, what if you were a liberal and you went into that room? You'd probably have a grand old time with your pedophile friend and your racists. You'd be talking and been playing cards and drinking whiskey. Who knows what's going on? Speaking of liberal, somebody called me, a liberal asshole. Can you imagine that? They called me a liberal asshole. Why? Because I made a comment that you could not judge the whole black race by a subsection of black people that act like savages. I am a liberal, I am a snowflake, I am an asshole, and they told me you can go back to Africa. Well, I've never been to Africa. Africa and Ireland are way all over the place. Well, I think I'd like to visit Africa. I think it'd be a fun place. But can you imagine somebody calling me a liberal because I didn't have the like-mindedness to think that a whole group of people were all the same? I mean, imagine that. I mean, you talk about conservatives and Republicans being racist. I mean, racism's still out there. I don't think it's as pervasive. I can't even get the word out. I don't even think it's as pervasive as people like to believe it. But it's there. It's there. You know, and you look at me, I do not look like a liberal snowflake. I got the goatee, the bowman. I look more like a conservative. Right? Just saying. You know, just bizarre. Here we go. We got the government shutdown looming in just a few days. October 1st, we're going to shut it down. But before they shut it down, Zelensky came to the UN and delivered an upbeat message. He was so upbeat. He talked about the climate, and he talked about the need for freedom in Ukraine. You can't let Russia take Ukraine. And then he said, oh, by the way, I need $25 billion. I wouldn't say he had an upbeat message. I'd say he was productive because the government approved more money for him, but can't approve our tax dollars, American tax dollars to pay for things in America, like keeping the government open, paying the military. Come on. How about all the senators and anybody in the House and anybody there, they don't get paid. My guess, and I'm not 100% sure, will not affect them in the least. They will just keep cashing paychecks on the raises that the drunken hag Pelosi got them 2 years ago. It really is unbelievable. But what more can we expect? We got John Fetterman of the mental illness, depression, and the stroke, which is a brain injury. So he's got mental illness of the brain, and he's got a brain injury. This guy's screwed. He goes to Congress, on the floor of Congress, like he's going to work out at Planet Fitness with the oversized hoodie. And this hoodie's got to be giant because he's a big, giant man anyway. It looks a bit like an oversized lurch. And the big, long shorts, and not worried about what he's doing. He's actually talking about other people grabbing his hog. I don't know what you're talking about there, Fetterman. Nobody wants to grab your hog, not even your wife. I don't know what you're talking about. So he gets up there and he delivers a 3-minute rant. Like a lunatic, stuttering and stammering, can't find the words. But he said, his message was, this is what he said, I no longer have the ability to process language. You think that would be important for a senator? I don't know. I'm just a regular guy, just an angry Irish guy, not that bright. Ask my wife. But processing language may be important if you want to run a government. If you want to come up with some bills and some ideas and pass some laws. I mean, If you can't process language, you really can't you're very limited. I think he may have been limited beforehand. I'm not sure because I really don't know anything about him. But he was lieutenant something in Pennsylvania. The man is not fit for office. He just said it. He can't process language. Is that what we want? People who can't process language making decisions about national security? Making decisions about where our tax money goes? Making decisions about just laws in general? I mean, I don't know. Call me crazy. I'd rather have Drunken Irish Mac making some laws after a bottle of whiskey. I mean, there'd be some great laws, I'll tell you that. But that's what I want. Then we got Joe. Big old Joe. A lot to say this week, but he didn't say anything at all. But he's assembling new committees. He's assembling a gun violence committee led by Kamala Harris. Kamala can do it. She's a gun violence. What are they going to look at? Let's start with Chicago. How about this? Why don't we enforce the gun laws that are on the books and not let the people run free after they commit these gun crimes and see what happens? Let's just start there. Let's start there, phase one. Because you keep telling me we need to ban assault weapons. What weapon isn't an assault weapon? I'm asking for a friend. What weapon is not an assault weapon? Last time I checked, every weapon can commit an assault. Every one. A screwdriver. Anything you use with a weapon can be used to assault somebody. So you want to get rid of everything. Telling you, that doesn't work, man. Doesn't work at all. Then Joe goes on to create a climate corps. There's a new one, a climate corps. Get the old climate corps going. So he's probably assembling the best weathermen. You got Storm Field leading the pack. The best weathermen to tell us about the climate. Really? What are we doing? What are we doing? Let's throw a couple billion into climate. You know, we'll give the sun a couple billion. It'll probably help us out. The sun, the clouds. Let's just give those guys money. Mother Nature's dying for some cash. The level of stupidity in our government is beyond me. I can't even fathom that amount of stupidity. And we're voting for this stupidity. Speaking of voting, we should all do it. We should all exercise our rights. But the Democrats are coming in out now and telling us that voting is good for your health. Not the policies that may be created by who you vote for. Just voting. Go vote. You have a cold, go vote, you get better. AIDS, go vote, you got better. You know what? Anybody who voted at the COVID didn't help them. They still had the COVID. So I'm really debating this. I really don't see it. Really don't see it. Now, there's this show Euphoria. I think it's on HBO. There's a guy, Angus Cloud, who died. And they just went through an extensive investigation. And he died of an accidental overdose. Now, first of all, I'm not making fun of the man's death. I don't want anybody to overdose. But an accidental overdose sounds a little strange to me. Does anybody go out and say, you know what, I'm going to overdose today. Let's do it. You know what we call somebody who goes out purposefully and overdoses? Suicide. I'm just saying, nothing is accidental when you're going out to do it on purpose. Accidental overdose. Weird that it was on a show called Euphoria. I think it's kind of ironic, Euphoria, and then he accidentally overdoses. I mean, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? Another weird, wacky story is that a 10, 11-year-old hijacked and stole the mother's car. Now, the mother reported the kids missing and the car gone. These kids drove 200 miles before the police apprehended them in mom's car. They drove 200 miles. The 10-year-old was driving. And when they got the kid out of the car, they said, where are you going? He's going, California. We can get our electronics back there. Turns out that mom took their electronics away. So they said, we're going to take your car and get away. Now I really got to watch these squirrels. I mean, I can see them driving around my car out of town. The question is, how the hell did they drive 200 miles? It's fascinating. We need a license to drive, but 10-year-old just got in, navigated 200 miles. That's a guy I want in office. I want that 10-year-old in office. He can process something, I'll tell you that right now. Speaking of the squirrels and what's going on at home, on the weekends, I think my wife is purposefully sleeping late to avoid dealing with me as long as she would have to if she got up at a early or a normal time. Now, this is pure evidence why the women is the smartest sex. That's some higher level thinking shit right there. She's certainly processing language. And here I am playing the fool up in the morning while she's sleeping, avoiding me. I'd avoid myself also. That's neither here nor there. What do we got? So here in Long Island, once again, there is a woman who's in court right now. She was arrested for running a high school male student over. The high school student was harassing her son, and she went to wherever it took place to teach him a lesson. So there are witnesses. There are people who got her license plate. There are people who described the car. But that day, she went back to the car dealer to trade the car in for a lease for the same car of a different color. Her defense is, didn't do it, wasn't me. Wasn't me. The not me defense. Did you run over that kid? Not me. Were you in that car? Not me. That's all she says. It wasn't me. I went there to scare him. Wasn't me. Don't know how it happened. Everybody's lying. My guess, she'll get off. Wasn't her. Wasn't her. She said it. Can you imagine that's your defense? Can you imagine being that attorney? Not fighting it. Not saying that. Her whole defense is, wasn't me. Witnesses, wasn't me. Wasn't me. It is 100% bizarre. Really don't know. Really don't know what is going on with our legal system. But if this woman gets off, it's absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. So what we keep hearing now is doctors. Doctors are saying, mental health providers are saying that transgender women should be able to compete against women because it's good for their self-esteem. They already have low self-esteem. How about the good for fairness? How about letting a woman be a woman? I mean, where are my Democrats and feminists? Now we have a whole group of people like this Lauren Boebert and her boyfriend went out to see Beetlejuice, dark theater, and he's feeling a rope, groping her breast, and it looked like she was grabbing his package. They're having a grand old time. It's dark. You can only see it. I mean, listen, how many of us haven't gone out with the opposite sex in a movie theater in the dark and tried copping a feel? Inappropriate at her age, where she is being a congresswoman, 100%. But not a Democrat just standing up, screaming and yelling, you got rid of Al Franken, and Al Franken resigned. He resigned in shame. Al Franken should have his job back. Al Franken admittedly sexually harassed multiple women. Are we now comparing inappropriate groping at a play in the dark to sexual harassment of women? I don't want to hear any Democrats talking to me about how women should be valued, how we need to stand up for women. They can't even tell me what a woman is. This is ridiculous. I'm going to finish on this note. I finish it every week. Find the person you love. Tell him you love him. Tomorrow is no given. Cheers, everybody. I'll see you next week.